Okay, so to kick off our Ambitious Women Wednesday series, which is a series of videos to promote and celebrate some of Essex's women in business, we have Councillor Louise McKinlay, who is Deputy Leader of Essex County Council. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, so just my first question, really, just to get an idea of is sort of, as a child, what job did you want to do growing up?
As a child, well, at primary school, I wanted to be a teacher. And then I actually got interested in politics as I moved into secondary school, and from there always knew that was the field I wanted to go into.
So it's quite an early decision then to go into politics.
Yeah, as an area, not in terms of what that meant, but yes, as an area, I knew I wanted to be involved in politics.
And did that mean that sort of then steered you down a path in terms of sort of education and what you were going to study? And
so I did politics A-level. I did it as part of my degree as well. So to that extent, yes. I've got a master's in international relations as well. So that's obviously all geared in the same area, along with languages and economics, really. So yes, so those choices, they were driven, not necessarily specifically because I wanted to go into politics, but certainly driven through the interest, without doubt.
And what was so what made you first get into that sort of, or what was it that first sort of leap into your first sort of position?
So I wanted to get involved and help out my local party, and I went and saw the then group leader, just to see how I could, sort of do more and be more involved. And 20 minutes later, I left the meeting as a candidate for the next election. So it kind of morphed, I guess, just in a way that I hadn't particularly planned at that stage. I was actually working in the city at that time. I was working in banking. So it was alongside my day job as such. And I stood as a paper candidate the first time, and then the following year stood in a target seat and was successful. And I did that along with my role in banking for some years, and stepped down from banking about 10 years ago now.
Great. So can you tell us about a typical day in your working life?
I don't think there's anything such as a typical day. It's so varied. I mean, I've got a really broad portfolio which covers off so many different parts of the community. So we've got a lot of work that's going on in libraries at the moment. I've held a series of public engagement sessions. I've also been out and actually visited some of the key libraries and spoken to staff there. We're working on safety for women in terms of the safety advisory group. So there's meetings behind the scenes, understanding some of the data that's been pulled together. Yesterday we held a workshop in that space as well. I was then on the radio doing an interview about women's safety. And then, of course, there's the work locally. So it might involve going out and meeting either members of the council or residents association or individual people to talk about their local issue. Checking that some of the highways pieces that have been reported, that they've been followed up in the timeline that I've been given. It really is so varied. And then obviously as deputy leader, having the relevant meetings around the senior, with the rest of the senior team within the council, speaking to both colleagues on the political side, but then also engaging with senior officers, the chief exec, finance officers, that where there's that sort of broader responsibility and kind of helicopter view of all that's going on as well. So it's really varied in terms of everything that I get up to, so that there isn't a typical day as such to talk about.
Is that part of the attraction to the role as well then, is that it is so varied and that no 2 days are the same, really? Absolutely. And it's a series of meetings, as you probably just heard, but it's being able to then see the impact that has. And a lot of work went into the holiday activity and food camps, where we ran them across the whole of the county during the summer holidays, 330,000 sessions for people to come along, youngsters to come along and have fun and have a hot meal, and that took a lot of preparation. So there's all the sort of the meetings behind the scenes, but then in the summer being able to go out and actually visit those camps and literally see on the ground
how they're all coming together and the impact that it has, and speaking to some of the families and seeing the youngsters try out new activities. Many of the families wouldn't have had the opportunity to do things like horse riding, puppet shows. It was really, really broad. So to be able to have those meetings, but then, as I say, see it come to fruition and the impact that can have.
Do you think you've faced any obstacles being a woman in your chosen profession?
Have I faced any obstacles? Well, it's still very much a male-dominated area, without a doubt. And I've been to literally hundreds of meetings over the years where you could be the only female in the room, or certainly very much in the minority. So I am aware of that. I wouldn't say that I've seen it as an obstacle. I just get on and do the job and do what I need to do. But undoubtedly, women are perceived differently and have challenges, particularly if you look at the area of social media. Some of the the language that's used, some of the responses that females get, particularly female politicians or people who are in the public eye to one degree or another. I think we are treated differently in that sense, in terms of how people can respond. And you've got the everyday challenges as well, where if you have a family, I think it's still the case in most households that the woman will carry the bulk of that, even in the most balanced and supportive of relationships. I think the reality is that for many, it's still mum that sorts out what's happening on a day-to-day basis, even if she's not doing it all, but she's very much in the space of sorting it out. So there are a variety of different challenges that come about. And as I say, I think particularly being in a male-dominated environment, that is something that I'm aware of.
And is there any changes that you'd like to see or implement within your chosen career?
I think probably a greater understanding of what politicians do, really, whether that's at the national level or at the local level. The breadth of responsibility, the variety of the role. It's impossible to please everyone. You can't always deliver what people want to do, but I think just an understanding that most politicians I've met cross party, that they're certainly in it for the right reasons, even if you disagree with some of the policies or how they're going about it. The intention is there, and I think I find it quite sad, really, I suppose, and quite disappointing that there is this seemingly lack of trust between the public and politicians. So I would like to see a change in that area. And more women involved in politics as well. Absolutely. As I said previously, we're still very much in the minority when you look at representation, particularly at the more senior level. I'm the first female to occupy this position, which in one case makes me very proud, but in the other, it's quite shameful that in 2021 we haven't had a female in the position before. So there's lots of changes that I think are happening and that will come. And I'd just like to see more of that.
That's great. What advice would you give to anyone who wanting to enter sort of politics or local government? Or
I would say just do it. I've had so many conversations with people over the years when they say, well, have I got the time, or what about the children, or what does it mean? And I held down a successful career in the city for 10 years whilst I was doing this on the side. Of course, you have to make decisions about your life at various times. And, when I decided that I'd had enough of the city and I stepped back and can obviously focus more time, etc., on what I do here now in politics. But you don't always need to know the answers when you step out. And I think, just go for it and you will make it work, because ultimately you have to. And we're very good at juggling on a day-to-day basis in things that we don't necessarily actually really think about. We just kind of get on with it. And I think I would say the same to people if they want to get involved in politics. There is so much that you can get back from it. It's a really positive place to work, and it's very fulfilling. And one of the benefits is you can also be very flexible with your time. So the hours are very long, and they can be at 7 o'clock in the morning, they can be at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night. So the hours are very, very long, but it's also very varied, and in many ways you can be in control of your own diary, of your own time in that sense. So that's one of the things that appeals to me as well, because I can balance that with broader life.
Great. Do you have any future goals that you want to achieve in your career? Any sort of